Hey guys, I wanted to quickly share about a cool way you can support the show. Travel content creating and podcasting is so fun. But as you travel lovers know, traveling can get expensive. While I may receive trades from time to time, the flights, the behind the scenes hours filming, editing, recording, and sharing are often unseen and unpaid. There is this super cool website called buymeacoffee.com that was created specifically as a way to support creators like me. Buy Me a Coffee is a quick and simple way to show your support for the Trip Tales podcast. And Lord knows this busy Mama 3 could use a coffee to keep me recording and sharing, and maybe help with the grocery bill as well. I'll also give a special shout out by name to anyone who buys me a coffee in the following week's episode. So if you love Trip Tales, I'll put the link in the show notes, or you can get there by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves. Thank you for considering supporting the show. Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 14 of Trip Tales. You are in for a treat today because I have my first live in-person guest sitting right here next to me today, my sister Allie. Hi Allie, thank you for being here.
Hi.
We have our mimosas going. Let's cheers. Actually, they're not mimosas because I forgot to buy the orange juice, so it's just champagne. We're just drinking champagne.
Oops.
We are going to talk to you today about flying with babies and toddlers. And between the two of us, I had written down that we have been on dozens of flights with kids, but she reminded me that it's probably closer to hundreds. Like we have both flown multiple times a year with every single child we've had from like babies through now. And we have some tips and tricks. We have some things that just, you're just going to have to roll with the punches because it's not always going to work. But for anyone out there that's wondering what it's like to fly with babies and toddlers or who just want some additional tips and tricks, we're going to be talking about all of that today. So my sister is in town visiting, and I'm basically forcing her against her will to be on this podcast. I did an Instagram poll a little while ago where I had said, do you think it would be fun to be on the podcast? Yes, or no, not a chance. I don't want to be on a podcast. And she selected the no, not a chance. I don't want to be on the podcast. So
my worst nightmare.
Thanks for being here. And if you guys were following my Instagram stories from a couple weeks ago, you might have seen it. They just actually had a completely slightly traumatic travel day yesterday getting here. They were flying from Boise, Idaho to Nashville, and they had to connect through Chicago. And instead of landing in Chicago due to weather, they got rerouted to Minneapolis, landed in Minneapolis to get fuel, weren't allowed to get off the plane. This plane already had told them that it had no food, so they had no snacks or in-flight service of any kind. Were stuck on this plane, then it took back off, finally landed in Chicago with a lot of turbulence. But because of that reroute, they missed their connecting flight to Nashville. It was a whole thing. Then they were not even going to get here for another 24 hours. They were going to have to sleep, spend the night. So they ended up booking a flight just out of their own pockets on Southwest to get here. They ended up getting here at like midnight after waking up at like 5 a.m. that morning with 2 little kids. So I don't know if she has any tips from that day, but
I think it's too close.
Yeah.
I need to sit on it for a minute.
Too soon. But anyhow, we always start with a rapid fire get to know you. So Allie, tell everyone where you live and about your family and what you do.
I live in Boise, Idaho, and I have 2 girls. My oldest is 6 and my youngest just turned 3. And I do freelance textile design. I work from home and do like prints and patterns for mostly like home goods.
Yes, she's very talented in the pattern design world, if anybody's looking for a pattern designer. But so, yeah, they moved out to Boise, Idaho, actually during COVID in 2020. And so they're pretty far from family. We were born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. I now live in Nashville. Her husband's from like the Atlanta area. So they are constantly on planes trying to get back to things that are going on with the family or to visit family. So they've been on planes a ton. And then my husband and I moved around a lot. So we were also on planes all the time with little kids. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to split it into some categories. We're going to first talk about planning, like preparation and planning for flying with kids. Then we're going to talk about packing, all the things you need to pack. We're going to talk about arriving to the airport. Then we're going to talk about airport time, like actually being in the airport. Then we're going to talk about flying. Hang with us. We're going to get through all this. Then we're going to talk about landing. So we're going to kind of go through the whole thing, and we're just going to go back and forth sharing our insights and what to expect. So with planning, we're going to start with this. You're going to set the bar so low, like you're going to assume everything's going to go wrong because like my sister's travel day yesterday, it often does. Like you are going to be like, okay, and I hate to say this, but you're going to be like, someone's going to get sick. Someone's going to be sick. The plane's going to get delayed. Like the bar is so low that when all those things don't happen, you're like, oh my gosh, it was a great travel day, even though something's probably going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Travel's just unpredictable. And so, especially with kids in the mix, you're just going to set the bar really low.
If you set the bar so low, just prepare for it to be miserable and something will go wrong.
It's probably going to be miserable, but maybe it won't.
But when your child's actually sitting on the airplane watching a show for 30 minutes, you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. We're here and we're making it work. So
yeah. So before you get started, you're setting the bar low. Next, this is a hack if you really don't want to do the lap child thing. Let's talk about lap childs for a minute. So we actually had to Google this yesterday because we were going to try to sneak her child on as a lap child when they had to buy that last minute Southwest flight. If your child is 2 or under, so if they're 2 years old and 2 months, you're not supposed to have a lap child. But if they're 2 and under, you don't have to buy them a seat, which means they sit on your lap.
No, if they turn 2, once they're 2, they're no longer a lap child. So
okay,
0 to 23 months.
Okay, 0 to 23 months.
And then probably if they're just turned 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the rule. So you've done this more recently than me. I feel like there's something weird about, do they make you take them out of the baby carriers if they're strapped to you for like takeoff and landing?
Yes. So I love a baby carrier. My youngest is a little too big for it now, but that is my preferred method to getting around the airport. Is a baby carrier, but they do not let you walk through security wearing the baby. You still have to unstrap them, which is such a pain because a lot of times when they're super little, they're asleep and you have to wake them up and you have to put the stroller through security. You have to put the carrier through security. And then you as a mom or your partner get to walk through the like simple security. You don't have to go through the big one where you stand with your arms above your head.
Yeah, like a general metal detector.
Yeah, they let you with your kids walk through the general one. But yes, you cannot walk through with the baby strapped to you.
Yeah, so I would say having a baby carrier is very helpful in the airport to have your hands, but just know that you can't walk through the security with them strapped to you. And sometimes in takeoff and landing, they tell you to take the baby out of it.
Every single time I have flown.
Okay.
And that's like the best way to get your child to sleep when they're really little is to have them strapped to you. They have told me that I have to take them out and put them in my lap face forward. It's such a pain. I feel like I've gotten away with maybe them strapped to me a couple times, but most often they tell you to take them off while you're sitting.
Yes. So in the planning mode, know that you're going to probably have to hold that child on your lap quite a bit. This gets really challenging in the like over 1 year phase because they start getting wiggly. They want to walk, they want to crawl, and they don't understand that they have to sit there. Mm-hmm. So my hack, if you are like, my child is so wild, I cannot picture holding them on the plane. It's a little bit more expensive, but you buy them a seat. We did this a few times with our third because she was not a good plane traveler. She didn't sit on our laps. She wanted to launch out of our laps and run around the plane. We bought her a seat, and then we bought this FAA approved car seat that you can buy from Walmart for $59. I will link it here. We used it so much. It is worth it. We hauled that car seat onto the plane in a backpack carrier. I can also link that. It looks like you're carrying a baby grand piano on your back, but you can carry this car seat on.
They also make the bags that have wheels so you can roll it like a rolling suitcase.
Yes. And you could also bring on your infant carrier if you're like, my baby sleeps in the infant car seat and I just want him to sleep on the plane. You can also bring that on if you bought a seat.
But you have to buy the seat.
Yeah, you have to buy the seat.
They won't pass as a lap child.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you buy a seat and you're like, we're just going to do this the more expensive way, you can bring on the infant carrier or this car seat I'm going to link in the show notes that is FAA approved. And then you can strap them in like they're in a car. So some kids do much better once they're strapped into a car seat because they're used to doing that at home. So we would strap her in like, here we go for our ride. And we'd put a sound machine near her head and she would fall asleep like she was on a car ride. And so, yes, it's more expensive because you have to buy that seat. I totally get that. But it is a game changer if you have a child that wants to launch out of your lap. So I'll link that Walmart car seat in the show notes. I'm also going to link this portable sound machine that we both have that is tiny and you can kind of loop it and it can hang from the car seat.
I love the noise machine when they were younger. I don't really use it much. I use it for when they sleep now, but not really on the plane. But every time the pilot or flight attendant comes on, the announcements sometimes are so jarring and loud that the baby will kind of like jerk awake. So
yes,
it's really helpful for those moments once they do fall asleep to have that on.
Yes. I put in my notes an iPad or a tablet holder, which I always see hacks for them, but we don't really use them. Do you guys have any of those holders?
With my first, we did use it a lot. We had one that
like
kind
the
of
bendy one?
would bend and fold any way you wanted, but we did use it quite a bit. We don't use it anymore. We kind of just either put the tray table down and lean it up, or they put their little neck pillows on their lap and kind of prop it up with that. So.
Yeah, I feel like they're helpful when the kids are at the age where they want to like slap at the iPad and like stop it and stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll link the bendy tablet holder here too, because you can kind of shove it behind the tray table and then bend it down and then bend it back up to hold the tablet in place. So if you need your kid to just watch something but not be able to grab it off the tray table, that would be a good solution for you. Another thing in the planning mode is to send bulky things via Amazon. My sister's actually really good at this when we like go to Florida and stuff. I kind of forget about it sometimes, but it's like,
I'm kind of still in the diaper. Well, I was still in the diaper phase very recently. So I do send, nighttime pull-ups and stuff ahead of time because there's no point in packing those when you can just buy like a 20 pack and ship it.
Because they take up so much space too.
Yeah.
So like diapers, wipes, things like that, you can send to your VRBO.
Yeah.
You can send to a hotel actually, and they'll hold it at the desk for you.
I used to when my little one was into the pouches. I would buy like a variety pack of pouches and send those because that takes up so much weight and stuff too. So when you get there, you have food for like the next morning.
Super smart. So consider building an Amazon cart before you go, and then those things are done. In the same breath, my like signature move now is an Instacart order. And what I do is I always build it at home when it's stress-free. It's like a Thursday. We haven't left to travel yet. Kids are at school. And I think about all the things that we're going to need. And I put in the address of where we're going. So whether that's the hotel we're staying at, the VRBO, and it'll say, you're pretty far from this location. Are you sure you want to shop here? And you say, yes, you pick the grocery store you like a Publix or whatever, and you build your cart so that once you land and you're in your transportation to your hotel or whatnot, you can press start shopping, and the person will deliver it within like 2 hours. And it's amazing because you got all your groceries and you didn't even have to go out and get them.
I have something that I'm going to add about strollers. Something I forgot about that we used to do a lot when we lived in New York is when you do travel with your car seat, all of these extra items for babies, like when you have to check your bag, it's like $40. These extra baby items are actually free. So when you check the car seat in the big car seat bag, if you're not going to bring it on the plane with you, it's free to check that and get it brought
good to know
under the plane. And they don't, this is like a bad tip to share, but I used to do this all the time. They don't really check it. They don't open it and see what's in it. So I would stuff it full of, if we were going to somewhere cold, all of our coats and all of this stuff that would like take up space in our regular suitcases.
So smart.
I would even put in like, we loved, now I'm blanking, the Bumbo.
The Bumbo seats.
Bumbo seats, and some come with trays. So when you're traveling, you have a little, almost like travel high chair for your baby.
Yeah.
I would put that in the car seat bag and kind of just stuff it full of stuff. So we had all this extra stuff that flew for free
That
once
is
we arrived.
so smart. I never did that. Yeah, because when you're checking bags, like on any of the kiosks, it asks if it's
It asks, you
a
can
car
check a
seat or
stroller bag, and you don't have to bring it with you if you're planning on not using the stroller, but it's all free to check all that
Yeah,
stuff.
so if you're going to rent a car and you don't want to, sometimes you can rent car seats with the cars. Sometimes they're not there when you go to rent your car, and it's really annoying.
Yeah.
So some people just like bringing their own car seats with them, or if you're like going somewhere with family and you're like, I want my car seat and my family's going to have the car, you can buy these car seat bags, which we'll link. And yes, you can check them when you're checking your bags, and it will go under the plane, and you don't have to deal with it in the airport, and then you can get it on the other side if you don't want it on the plane. And that is so smart to stuff it full of like puffy random stuff.
And often, if you aren't finding them when you go get your bags at baggage claim, sometimes they're in that weird area of baggage claim that's like for oversized,
like golf clubs
items.
And, yeah,
that's where they shove the car seats and strollers.
Okay, loving all this. We're still just in planning, guys. We haven't even gotten on the plane. Okay, the next one I want to talk about, which my sister-in-law just went through, is booking lap children when you're using points. So this was kind of random, but her and her husband were trying to fly to Florida with their 2 kids, and they have all these Southwest points because they use a Southwest credit card. Shout out Southwest credit cards. They're like the best if you fly Southwest a lot. And so they were like, we can't book our lap child on points, so I guess we're just going to have to like buy one of our flights with cash, and then they'll let us book it that way. And so I started doing some Googling and reading some Reddit threads, and they were like, no, you absolutely can still book on points. You just call Southwest after the fact and say, can you please add this lap child to my reservation? And it's like easy breezy. They just did it. It was no problem at all. So just know that even though the website won't let you do it, and I don't know how other airlines work, but if you're booking on points and it won't let you add a lap child, you can do it after the fact just by calling customer service. So
that is something that I sometimes found confusing through different airlines. Because when you are booking a lap child, you kind of are just like, oh, they're on my lap, so I'm just booking a seat for like me and my husband or something. But you actually do have to add their names, their date of birth, and everything to your reservation. Sometimes it's easier than other times, depending on the airline you're flying through. But just know that they have to be added, actually.
Okay, that's good to know. Kind of in the same breath of adding them, literally, they need a reservation, is do they need identification? So a lot of people get confused about, do they need some sort of like a birth certificate or a passport or whatever? So in my experience, some airlines will say, and if you like read on the airline website, to pack a copy of their birth certificate. I have never once in 12 years been asked for a birth certificate copy. I had one in my diaper bag all the time.
Same with your first?
Yes.
Me too. I was always so concerned.
Had a copy of it.
First, same.
And I think the reason that exists is to make sure they're under 2 as a lap child. So I would say if you're pushing the boundary of the lap child and they're getting close to 2, or if you have a particularly like tall child that would maybe be like, wait, are they actually 2? Maybe pack it to be safe. But if you don't have time and you're stressed, I'm telling you, I travel with my now 12-year-old she's the same height as me and she looks 16, and they've never once asked her for identification. So I wouldn't stress about having any sort of birth certificate, but if you're an over planner and you just have to know that that's done, you can make a copy of it, a photocopy of it, and then you can keep it in your diaper bag just like 24/7, just like always have it there.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing we're going to talk about in the planning phase is your booking flights. What's the best airline to travel with kids if you have a choice? So obviously not United that Allie was on yesterday.
United flight was terrible. No snacks.
But you always have a bad experience on United.
I feel like I always have a bad experience on United. I was trying to remember which airline I flew most recently. Not this trip, but the past trip. And I want to say maybe it was Delta, because they were kind of cute when we got on. They had little activity packs for my kids to play with. It was like little puzzles and those waxy wiki sticks and coloring, and
Delta's the best.
So that was good. Yeah, I think Delta's the best. We used to live in New York, and JetBlue was a big airline there, and we would go out of our way to like book with JetBlue because we loved it so much. You always got a TV. They always had like kids shows. They have the best snacks. I liked it a lot.
So JetBlue, Delta doesn't always, but often also has screens with like easy to navigate, fun kids shows and movies and games. I love that game, that Seek and Find game. Have you played that one?
I love that Seek and Find game. I love that game. When my toddler's not like jumping.
Yeah, true. I know. I've got older kids now. I'm like, I play the games, and then you can like play with other people.
But they do
kind of awkward.
Delta does have great. Yes, that is.
They're like, you're playing someone in like 2B. You're like, who am I playing against? Okay, sorry, Delta.
They do have good shows. Like my youngest is obsessed with Paw Patrol, and they just had like a Paw Patrol marathon on. So that was great. And we can get into all that too, like the headphones and all that.
But Delta, JetBlue, those are good ones. Southwest obviously is always good with families because of the family boarding. Not all airlines do that family boarding thing. You just board because you bought a seat. You had a thought on.
I do have to say, so this current trip we came here, we did have to buy a last minute plane ticket to get here, and we booked with Southwest. And my husband was so stressed because he was like, "Oh, we booked last minute. We're all going to be seated,
the whatever,
the
middle seats,
boarding zone." And I said, "No, because family's board. We're fine. We will get together right after the A group."
Yes.
And it was fine.
And that is nice. We fly Southwest a ton since we're in Nashville. There's just like so many Southwest flights out of here. We don't even stress out about checking in to get a boarding group because we know on Southwest you're always boarding after Group A. So Group A gets to go. A lot of them like paid for upgrades to get better seating. Group A goes, and then families board. So you always get to sit with your family. So that is helpful for Southwest.
Going back to how United's terrible is when we were boarding, they said family boarding for 2 and under, which normally it's like 6 or 8 or 12 or
on Southwest it's 6
I
and
know
under.
I've always experienced that, but I heard the gate agent say 2 and under, and I was
like a 3-year-old can't sit by themselves. Who wants to take care of my 3-year-old?
Yeah, I was confused. So
that is weird. I do think Southwest is pretty loosey-goosey about it too, because I have plenty of families like dance competition families and stuff that say they still board with their kids at like 7, 8, 9, 10. It's really just like they don't want you to have to move people around once you get on later. So I think
more efficient that way.
Yeah. Okay, that's all the planning. So I hope you guys feel planned for your trip. Let's move on to packing. So now you're packing, you're getting ready for your trip. One thing that you have to make sure you do, obviously you're going to charge the tablets and the iPads the night before to 100%. You're charging them. But the main thing you need to remember is you need to download the airline app that you're traveling on and check to see if the shows they like to watch on the iPad, if you bought it a year ago, is actually on your device. Because the amount of times that we would get on a plane and it had been moved to the cloud, because they do that now to make sure that like your device is working properly. And it's like, once you're on that plane, if you don't purchase Wi-Fi, you cannot re-download that movie or show. Oh, it's so painful.
A lot of times they expire after like, I don't know how long, a few days or weeks. And so you have to renew the download. One time we did get on the plane and I hadn't checked. I charged everything, but we did do that thing where you offload all the apps to save space in the cloud or whatever. And my youngest apps were basically on the cloud because she doesn't really use her iPad ever unless we're traveling.
Yeah.
And so she hadn't been using it recently. So none of her apps had been clicked and re-downloaded from the cloud. So every single app was in the cloud. And the Wi-Fi was so poor on the plane that it wouldn't download any of them. So none of the apps worked.
So you had no device. You shouldn't have even packed it.
The only things that worked were the movies that I had downloaded like the night before. So we had some movies, but you definitely need to check that everything has been clicked from the cloud to read.
Yeah, is on the device. Yes. It's literally in a library. Yeah. And then if you're flying Southwest or Delta or whatever, definitely download that airline's app, because once you're on the plane, you can connect to the Wi-Fi, which I'm sure a lot of you have done before personally. And then you can, even without paying for Wi-Fi, you can access their in-flight entertainment. So even if you don't have stuff on your device, at least you can access their stuff. We have definitely got on many of Southwest flights where the app is in the cloud. Like the app has gone back to the cloud and you're like, oh no, we can't access in-flight entertainment. So that can be pretty painful. Okay, let's talk about packing like food and drinks. So My sister-in-law the other night, she's flying for the first time with her baby, and she was like, I know you can't bring water through, so what do you do for all the bottles if you're using formula or if you're using breast milk and you've pumped and you want to bring it through? You can bring liquids through for children. The liquid rule does not apply to children. They can even be pretty loosey-goosey with even like 2, 3, and 4-year-olds if you wanted to bring like juice or
literally anything.
Yeah.
Anything that's over the, 4 or 5 ounces that you're allowed to bring through. You can bring anything through, medicine, food. It's just, you're going to get stopped.
You're going to get stopped. And this is like my biggest hang up with airports is so you can fill up your bottles that you want to bring to whatever ounces you need. Screw on the cap. You can bring all those through. Fill up your formula pouch, the little container with all the formula, bring it all through. But you're going to get stopped 100% of the time, and they're going to wave this little thing over the bottles. They have to open them all up, which is kind of annoying because they put gloves on, but you're like, I know that your hands and your gloves are still dirty, but they're opening up your bottles. They're waving, or your juice cups or your kid's sippy cup. You can bring milk on if your kid needs milk. They're going to wave a little thing over it to make sure it's like not a flammable liquid. They're going to close it all back up, and they're going to send you on your way. But the thing that I think is so insane is that as you do this and you experience this, TSA security is lined up with parents, with babies, with strollers and baby Bjorns and diaper bags. And they are spending all their time waving these things over like purified water. Yes. And I'm like, we are spending our time on the wrong people. These people are not the people that are, to be concerned about. Oh my gosh. So, and I know they've just got to have some sort of system, and this is the system we have, but you will be stopped. And it's fine. Just know you've got 5 extra minutes that you got to stand there while they wave the little thing.
I've even done everything to my best ability to take all the medicine, everything out in Ziplocs out so they can't stop me. But, one thing that I truly always get stopped on are randomly baby wipes.
Same.
So if my bag has nothing in it, no liquids, water bottles have been emptied, nothing, and I have wipes in my bag, they will pull my bag and check it. And it's because I have baby wipes in it. Yeah.
So the baby wipes, specifically Kirkland, like Costco baby wipes, I think it's because they're so thick, they can't see what it is or something. But for some reason, Kirkland baby wipes always get stopped too. Mm-hmm. So just plan on getting stopped. Sorry about that.
So you just need to plan extra time in security, really, because you will be stopped and you will be repacking your bags.
The other thing I would say is pack more formula snacks and stuff than you think. Kind of like what happened to my sister yesterday. You so often, and I hate this, but you so often get stuck on the tarmac. You land, they don't have a gate available for you. Just more than you think. And it's so annoying, but pack more diapers, more formula, more breast milk, more whatever snacks. Pack more than you think you need.
Yeah, I didn't even think I would need wipes. I mean, obviously you need wipes when you have kids, but my kids are potty trained, so I didn't think I would really need wipes. I packed a small little thing that was half used. We almost emptied that wipes because we were gone all day traveling, and it ended up being a form of entertainment for one of my youngest. So she would wipe down all the tray tables, the windows, the seats, and just pack more of everything.
Yes. Let's talk about fun stuff to keep them entertained on the plane. So one thing that I would always do and still kind of do sometimes is you go and buy something they've never seen before. So if they're little and they like puffs, you buy a new flavor. If they are 2 to 3 years old, you buy that pack of fruit snacks that you would never buy at home. Like the character they like, the Barbie fruit snacks that have absolutely no nutritional value, because at hour 2, when they are just at their wit's end, you can pull out something they've never seen and they're like, oh my gosh, I get a Barbie fruit snack or a fruit roll up or a fruit by the foot. Just go to the grocery and buy something you would never buy them and hide it until that moment when they're like, this is fun.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I feel like I've created a problem a little bit in my house because they expect surprises now on the plane, but it really does help keep them entertained. Your snack time now is an exciting time. I would say that for travel days, everything's like a yes day. Screen time all day. Snacks all day, candy, who cares? You're trying to just make it to your destination, and whatever gets you there is is fine.
100%. I'll add to that like dum-dums, just old school dum-dums. You can buy them in the candy aisle. Those go a long way too because it keeps them busy for a while and they can kind of suck on it. So have some dum-dums.
Yeah, I love finding new little things for them for the plane. I love all of the, like putting in a plug here, Melissa and Doug. They make so many good activity books for all ages, like the Water Wows, the like velvet marker, color by numbers. They have now for like my 6-year-old, they do these like dry erase books where you can play with a partner. So like me or my husband will like play games with her and
like a tic-tac-toe or a
they're like draw a silly face. So I love those. Finding new ones for the plane are fun for them.
Yeah, we'll link some of the Melissa and Doug stuff. I went through many a years of Water Wows with the kids because you guys probably know what those are, but if you don't, you just fill up the little kind of pen with water and then it creates these really fun, it's like you're painting and the boards change colors, but it's so clean because it's just water.
And for the little ones, I have found that just getting a couple new books are really helpful for killing some time.
Like a regular book, like a book you read.
A regular hard little back book that's easy to pack, but like ones that have flaps or stuff to do, like trace this with your finger. It just really like helps burn some time and it's something new they haven't seen. And I always try to find a couple new books for my youngest.
Yeah, that's smart. Another thing I do is I buy like a pack of 4 sketchbooks on Amazon. I think Melissa and Doug actually make the best ones because they make small ones and I'll put one in each kid's bag. Even the older kids still, you never know when they're going to be like, well, they'll play tic-tac-toe with each other or they just want to feel like they want to sketch something out or they need to write something down. I always have a sketchbook and a blank sketchbook in all of their backpacks. And then for the littlest ones, sometimes it's fun to buy like a pack of stickers at Target, like buy the greeting cards. You know, they've got so many stickers and fun new puffy stickers or shiny stickers. They will spend so much time peeling those stickers off and putting them in the sketchbook that's another good one as well.
Stickers are awesome. I do love the stickers. I've always loved getting, you can find on Amazon or anywhere, like the little sticker books where you can create like faces.
Yes.
Really helps. It's so fun for them to like sit there and create these faces, or they have my oldest is obsessed with Harry Potter. You can like get Harry Potter ones where you put the eyes and everything on. And so that's super fun.
One thing that has been like a saving grace for me as well is I'll buy one new stuffy for a stuffy lover. My littlest loves a stuffy and I will hide that at the very bottom of something. And when it is like we have pulled out all the stops, we're stuck, you know, I will pull out that little, like a tie beanie baby or, you know, one of the little stuffies. And she will be like, oh my gosh, I have a new stuffy. And it saves the day every time. So a new stuffy is also fun.
And the best place to go get little cheapy stuff for this is the dollar store. I used to be like anti-dollar store, but before a trip, it's the best place to go and find little coloring books, stuffies.
Smart.
Yeah.
Because you can just load up on.
You can load up and it's like
stuff.
$20.
Yeah. Okay. Super smart. Okay. Let's talk about headphones. You had put a note down here about a headphone situation. So obviously you want headphones for your kids on the planes, whether they have screens or not, you're probably going to use headphones. So bring your kids headphones.
Yeah. My thing with headphones is we love the Bluetooth headphones that, you know, go directly to the iPad.
Yeah, wireless.
But sometimes on some of the older planes, you actually have to have a cord to connect into watch, for instance, Paw Patrol that my youngest loved on the Delta flight. And her ears don't work with the little earbud ones that they give out that are free. So it's great to find the earphones that are Bluetooth.
Wired. Oh.
But also can have the plug.
Oh, they can do both?
They can do both.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we love to get those ones.
I don't know where you buy them, probably on Amazon, but I have found that a cheap place to buy wired headphones for kids, if you just need them for school or for backpacks, is Five Below. So similar to the Dollar Tree, everything in Five Below is $5 or less. And so you can get headphones for $5.
Yeah.
Especially if they're going to break them or lose them. I'm like, we're going to Five Below to pick out headphones.
But my oldest, her iPad actually doesn't even have a headphone jack. So she has to have a Bluetooth.
Because it's a newer one?
Yeah. She has to have a Bluetooth headphone. Okay. But you can get the cord to come with it, so when she's on the plane, she can watch the show.
So where do you buy that?
Amazon.
Okay. Yeah. So you want one that's Bluetooth and still has a cord too?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. All right. We're moving on, guys. We've planned, we've packed, now we're arriving.
And we're filling champagne.
We're refilling our champagne. She's spilling it all over my amazing podcasting studio. Oh my gosh. Stop spilling.
I'm doing this left-handed. I don't know why.
Okay. We're refilling and we're spilling. Okay, we're arriving to the airport. We're going to start going through like what you would do when you actually arrive to the airport. So Allie mentioned a few minutes ago that her child is potty trained, which is great. But we're going to talk about
What is she?
putting a pull-up on your child that you think is potty. Here's the deal. If your child still sleeps in a pull-up at night,
Or naps.
Or naps in a pull-up, you are putting a pull-up on your child on the plane. Allie, tell your story about
Okay.
when you didn't put a pull-up on your child recently.
I don't really know what I was thinking. My child actually, my youngest usually fights her naps on the plane and is wired and excited. So she normally doesn't sleep. So she's potty trained, fully potty trained during the day. And we get on the flight with underwear on. We get on our second flight, and at this point it's probably pretty late and she's sleepy, and she actually ends up falling asleep, which I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This never happens. She's sleeping. I can finally relax. And she wakes up and looks at me and says, I peed. And I was like, oh, okay. And I look down and I start to kind of like feel her. And she, I mean, has just soaked everything. The whole chair is covered. Everything I used to prop up under her head, I was just pulling random things like stuffies, extra clothes to prop her up.
The extra clothes she had packed in case of emergency were now covered in
soaked
pee.
in pee. So we had nothing to change her into. Thankfully, my older daughter had a sweatshirt on. She took that off. We put the sweatshirt on her, which was long enough to cover her whole body because she was only 3 years old. And I found a pull-up in the bottom of my diaper bag, and I put that on her.
As like underwear almost.
As underwear.
Yeah.
But everything, socks, shoes, everything was soaked.
I think you texted me and said her shoes are full of pee.
Everything was full of pee.
Oh my gosh.
Thankfully it was I think it was our second. No, it wasn't our second flight.
No, I think you had to go through the airport.
We had to go through the airport and get on another flight like that. And anyway,
put a
moral
pull-up on
of
your
the story
child.
is even if they're fully potty trained, it's best to put a diaper on them or pull up while you're flying. So for this flight, I learned my lesson coming here to Nashville, and she wore a pull up the entire time. And there was so much turbulence in one of our flights that we weren't allowed to get up. And she said, Mom, I have to pee. And I said, just go in the pull up, honey. And she's so potty trained that she felt like uncomfortable doing it, but it just gave both of us peace of mind that she could.
Yes. And it's not gonna send your potty training backwards. People will say you can't put a pull-up on them.
No, it's not. It's an emergency travel situation. It's
gonna keep you from having pee-soaked shoes and pee-soaked child. So put a pull-up on them. Okay, security. You're gonna go through security. This is kind of funny because I personally am a TSA pre-check lover. And so my sister, for some reason, refuses to get TSA pre-check, and she makes fun of me because it is funny. She said she often gets through security just fine. And I do think TSA pre-check is becoming so popular that sometimes there's way more people in line. And when we were traveling for my 40th birthday, I was like, are you TSA pre-check? She's like, no, but like, it doesn't matter. And then I was. And so I was like, bye. And she got through security before me and was like waiting for me. Like, I'm not TSA pre-check and I beat you.
Yeah.
But I do think for a family, this is the nice thing is if you apply for TSA pre-check, the whole family, not like your spouse, but the kids get it automatically on their boarding passes.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So anytime we book a flight, everybody has TSA pre-check on their boarding passes. It kind of just like comes with it.
So if they're for you and not for them.
Right.
Okay.
So Joe and I both renew it every, whatever it is, year or 4 years. It's like $80. And then the kids always have it on theirs. So that's really nice because then you can just like sometimes get through security quicker. We already touched on this, but you are going to have to take your baby out of the stroller, out of a carrier. This is the craziest part to me is that you have to send your stroller through the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And you're like, is it even going to fit?
There's these new ones now which are so nice because you can literally just put your bag in. You don't have to take out the laptops. You don't have to take out the tablets. They're the newer security things, and you just send everything through, but they're not big enough for strollers. So the strollers still have to go. You have to walk to the old school security belt and put it through the other one.
You like fold it up. You're holding a baby. If you travel alone, it's like the craziest thing because you're like carrying a baby, folding up a stroller. Just look around for some help.
I love a really small, compact travel stroller, one that is not an umbrella stroller. I find umbrella strollers with the two handles are hard to push when you need one hand because you're dealing with another kid. And I love the ones that have like the single bar across because you can literally push it with like a finger and they fold up so small.
That's a good point. The umbrella strollers like only go straight.
Yeah,
They
I hate
can't.
an umbrella stroller. I
Yeah.
can't.
So what stroller do you like?
Well, I'm not going to name brand because the one I have is literally like almost 10 years old at this point.
Okay.
So there's so many new ones on the
It's like
market.
the Baby Jogger or whatever that brand is. Or is
Well,
is that not even cool
That's
anymore?
not even the compact. Like they make ones that are like so compact now that
Okay.
it folds up so easy with like one hand motion and yeah.
So you want to fold up one, but not an umbrella stroller that
Yeah.
has the bar, and then you put your hook.
I am obsessed with adding hooks to every stroller I have because it helps so much during a travel day when you have so much random bags or your oldest wants to carry their own backpack or suitcase and then they get too tired and they don't want to. And you're like, all right, we're putting everything on these hooks or under the stroller. It's just really helpful.
Yeah, I was a hook lover too. I feel like is it Kings? Is that what the brand? There's like King
sounds
hook.
right,
Yeah. And you Velcro them
Velcro it
to
around.
wherever you want and you can hook everything on it. It's
Yeah.
the best. So baby carrier is extremely helpful. Yes, you can't carry the child through security and you can't have them for takeoff and landing, but other than that,
for
you
getting
need
your
hands-free.
bags, checking everything, all of that, walking through the security line. I used to travel a lot alone when I was in New York with my oldest when she was a baby. And I found that having the stroller and then maybe checking it and only using the baby carrier with my diaper backpack. Like I think all diaper bags now are backpacks, but like back in the day they weren't. They
Yeah,
were
it's a
shoulder
crossbody.
bag. Not helpful. If you get a baby carrier and then you put your backpack on, you're like totally hands free and you're kind of more balanced out because you have all this weight in the front of you and then you have weight in the back of you, and so you're like,
Mom, we're like
workout.
Sherpas. We're just
Yeah.
like carrying all the things.
It's helpful.
Okay, so hands-free, you want the baby carrier, you want the backpack. So you've gotten through security, now we're in the airport. What are we doing? Okay, the first thing you're doing is you're going to your gate and talk to someone and say, I'm going to gate check my stroller.
Yeah.
This is anything that they're going to put under the plane that you can't actually physically bring on the plane. So you could gate check
Even if your stroller folds up small enough to fit on top of the plane like a suitcase, they're gonna make you check it plane side before you actually get on the plane.
So you go up and talk to someone, you say, I need a gate check tag for my stroller. They're going to fill it out. You're going to put it on your stroller, and then you can push your stroller all the way down the sky bridge. Yeah. And then right before you get on the plane, it's a really fun, awkward dance where all these people are behind you and you got to fold it up really quick and get your kid out, leave it there. They're going to put it under the plane. You get on the plane. And then afterwards, don't forget to wait there for it because you have to get it right after you get off the plane.
They're not going to bring it with your bags. They're going to leave it where you
kind of like where wheelchairs are, where they're meeting people. Like right when you get off the plane, you got to wait for your stroller right there. Now that my kids are a little bit older, we do not bring liquids through at all because we're trying to get through without getting stopped. But everybody obviously has like a refillable water bottle. And so one of our first stops is always to go to the water fountain, or hopefully they have sometimes they still don't. You're like, are we tipping our water bottle and it's all spilling out? But obviously you're going to fill up all the water bottles. We're going to potty. Everyone's going to potty. We're going to go straight to the potty.
Yeah, we're going to go to the bathroom. I mean, you can't avoid kids who need to get a diaper change or who have pooped their diapers on the plane or whatever. But to note that airplane bathrooms are just so small. They're meant for the smallest person.
The changing table is laughable.
Table is laughable. Basically, a baby can barely fit on it.
Like, how would you? It's like smaller than this sheet of paper.
It is so small. It's wild how small the changing. Your baby is like cramped up in this weird position and you're trying to change their diaper.
And they're crying. And
it's pretty painful. And then if you have an older one like I do who's very sensitive and scared of loud flushes, you have to get into that bathroom with them. And it's almost impossible. So
you kind of want to try to avoid the bathroom on the plane if at all possible. But if you need it, it's there and you can change your child there. Look for kid play spaces. That's kind of fun. A lot of airports have little playgrounds, although it's like a double-edged sword because they're probably going to get sick. So you kind of are like, okay, we're going to wipe down your hands.
Yeah, some are fun. I feel like the best ones I found are Southwest, actually.
Yeah, they do have good ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gotten through the airport, we've boarded, and now we're on the plane.
The best part, if you do breastfeed your baby, is like, it's the best like pacifier for them on an airplane. I remember being like, worried and scared flying after they'd been weaned that like, oh my gosh, how am I going to like stop them from crying or get them to nap? So
Yeah,
that's
breastfeeding.
why I didn't need a car seat because I just like would breastfeed them.
Yeah, breastfeeding or giving them a bottle, even if it's not bottle time, give them a bottle to, as you're taking off.
Oh, totally.
As you're taking off, then the noise of the plane, the kind of gentle motion of the plane, and the breastfeeding or taking a bottle often will put a baby to sleep.
And it'll help with their, when your ears start popping when you're taking off and landing. If your baby's a breastfeeder, breastfeeding them during that time, if they're a pacifier person, like giving them a pacifier will really help with their ears.
Yeah. So you're getting up in the air, you're holding out on the surprises as long as possible. You're holding out on the stickers and the fun activities because you're going to need them. So just kind of try to hold out, but start bringing those things out.
I love to get on the plane and like let the excitement of the like plane day, because planes are so exciting for kids, like run its course, like play with the windows, look at all these like
the little pamphlets
and the magazines that they don't
what
know
are the beverage options. They're like looking at wine.
Yeah. It's like let that run its course for as long as possible, because you never know, you might be stuck on that airplane for a really long time waiting to take off
or being rerouted to a different city.
Yeah, I feel like when my baby was younger, I would like pull out all of the like tricks that I had brought, and then we had nothing left.
Yes.
And we had been stuck like on the runway for so long. So like just let every moment last as long as possible and wait for them to like be bored and fussy to pull something else out.
Yes, I agree with that. This is kind of sad, but I also wrote, prepare to be busy and sweat as your husband naps. But it's so true. I don't know how it happens that so many times I would be sweating, passing kids around, and I'd look over, and Joe would literally be asleep with AirPods in. And he's a great dad, but I'm like, how is this happening?
So we're a family of 4. So we love to book an entire row of 3 seats. And I'm the default parent. So I sit with both the kids, and then he's across the aisle from us. So if my youngest gets fussy, we can pass her to him or change of scenery, whatever. But yes, prepare to like actually feel like you did a full-blown workout, because it is wild. You are just constantly busy, and then you look over and your husband's asleep and listening to their favorite podcast.
Or like orders a drink,
going on?
Like orders a Diet Coke,
and you're like, I could never order a coffee. It's going to spill all over everybody.
So I will say, once the kids are like 5 or 6 and up, it gets so much easier, and they can order a drink and you can order a drink, and it's not going to get spilled. And so that does get nice. But under 5, just don't even plan on ordering the drink. You got your waters. It's going to get spilled. It's not worth it. Some awesome airlines will bring the kids their cup with a lid on it, which is really helpful. Yeah. Southwest will bring the kids their plastic cup with a lid on it and a straw in it.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know. It's so nice.
And another thing about like booking the 3 seats together and then your partner across the aisle is then you can order your coffee and they can keep it. And when you need a sip, they hand it to you and you hand it back. We've done that so many times. And to keep talking about our partners getting a break when you're like so sweaty dealing with your kids, I love their tasks to be bathroom tasks, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with one more thing and like change the diaper or try to get my like sensitive kid to go potty. Like they can go with dad, and dad helps them in the bathroom.
Time to turn off the podcast.
And I get a break and it's perfect. He's like bathroom dad on the plane.
Love it.
Yeah. I love
a bathroom dad. Here's another little tip for while you're flying. So obviously we all know that your ears can feel a little full. If you have any sort of congestion or cold, it gets worse. And I've had plenty of times where the kids are like, my head hurts so bad. So chewable Claritin, they make chewable and dissolvable all the antihistamine, or is that the word? I think. Like allergy medicine. I would definitely recommend letting kids take that before a flight, because it will help their ears. It dries up the junk in their
My oldest talks about ears a lot on the plane, and we've started to do Claritin, and she doesn't complain about them anymore. So we love it. And a lot of times with the younger kids, you can't like give them the same type of medicine, but with Claritin, you can. With the children's Claritin, the 2 and up can have it. So it's been great for our family.
So have that on hand and I'd give it to them like an hour or 2 before you get on the plane. Another thing we really love, it's like so nerdy and you look so stupid, but there's these things called earplanes, and they are earplugs. They have them in kid sizes and adult sizes. I have a ton of them. I'm going to link them in the show notes, but pilots use them, and they're these twisty earplugs that actually regulate the pressure going down. So when you are landing, you don't have to put them in until you're landing, but my kids are used to them now. And if anybody has a cold or is getting over a cold, they just know that they're going to put these earplugs in, and it really does regulate the pressure, and they don't get that pain in their ears and their head. So airplanes are another bonus, especially if your kids get sick a lot. Okay, the last thing I have for while you're flying, I saw a mom do this the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, why have I not been doing that my whole life? She opens up the barf bag, I know it's gross, and uses it as a little trash can. So they have these like bendy things to like close it up if you needed to. You can like put it in the seat back pocket, and all the time your kids are using their stickers or they're having their dum-dum suckers, you can put all your trash in this little trash bag, which is really helpful.
There will be so much trash. Like we use the throw out bags too for trash. I've never done the like stick it to your tray thing, but I always just put it in the pocket and just shove it. Well, there's just so much trash, especially if your younger one has like a runny nose. I mean, you're going through so many Kleenexes or baby wipes or whatever. There's so much trash.
Yeah, but I do have to. So Allie shared her trauma story of her daughter peeing through literally everything into her shoes. So I have to share our one insane horror story, which is kind of like maybe you do want the barf bag on hand, but I guess there's 3. So you've got 3, but.
Oh yeah, we've been digging for barf bags before too.
Yes.
Every seat.
My son, so honestly, I don't know how it happens, but every time I feel like you travel, a kid is sick because kids are always sick. So my son, we did not know he was sick. He actually was sick because he had a fever at the end of the flight, but we didn't know it going into it. He seemed fine. He also, we call him our puker because he does kind of randomly get sick a lot from motion sickness. Yeah. So this one time, this is where I was like, oh my gosh, to my husband, you are the best airline dad ever. He was starting to not feel well. We were in the back of the plane, just like you were, literally back row. He starts not feeling well. My husband can tell he is like about to spew, reaches for an empty beverage cup, holds it up to his mouth. My son pukes in the cup, fills it up to the brim. Nobody sees it or hears it. My husband walked to the bathroom, dumped it, flushed it. Nobody ever knew he puked. I was like, was that the most amazing moment? But this is where I'm saying set the bar low, be ready for things.
So low.
We had a child puke in a beverage cup and nobody even knew. It was amazing. Yeah. But he did end up feeling really sick. He took a nap. Once we landed, he had a fever. So I knew he was actually sick, but I was like, wow, babe, that was really impressive.
That is impressive. There is nothing worse than barf on the plane. We have had our share of puke bags and it's so unfun, but
it's the worst. Okay, landing, let's land. So, okay, we're going to triple check that you have all the things. I've lost baby carriers on planes. We have left things on planes. You're going to look in all the seat back pockets and under your seat and in front of your seat because the amount of like wubbas and pacifiers that get thrown, water bottles that roll.
Barbies that they want to bring or anything. And then they fall asleep and then you can't move your body because they're sleeping on you. And then by the time the plane lands, you're like, oh my gosh.
What even happened?
Yeah.
Where are all of our things?
There's so much.
So triple check that you have everything. You're going to, once you get off the plane and get into like your Uber or your rental car, you're going to hit place order on that Instacart order that you placed 2 days ago, that you built 2 days ago, and you are going to have groceries headed to you while you don't even have to think about it. And then if you did gate check that stroller, you're going to remember to stop right when you get off the plane in the jet bridge and wait for your stroller. Okay, I think we did it.
We finally arrived to our destination.
We've arrived to our destination and hopefully you're still standing.
Yeah. I'm not covered in pee or puke.
Yeah. So I end every episode with, if someone out there is considering flying with kids for the first time and you haven't done that, what is it about flying with kids that would make us say, just book the trip? And for me, I really did have people ask me, why do you fly with your kids so much? I've literally never flown with my kids. I'm terrified to fly with my kids. And here's the reason for me. I wanted to travel. I want to go see my family. I want to go to a cool destination. Yes, they might not remember every single thing, but I want my kids to realize that like the world and life is much bigger than the little bubble they live in. So it's going to be fine. You're going to survive. The other thing that I will say is the first few flights, I would be so stressed out getting on the plane. I knew it wasn't going to be great. I knew someone was going to melt down. We had flights where children had ear infections, literally screaming, crying the entire flight. Once my youngest, I felt so bad that we even brought her on a plane because we found out later she had a double ear infection once we landed and drove straight to the pediatrician upon landing. But the flight attendant tried to help her and bring her a styrofoam cup to play with, and she grabbed it and crushed it. Screaming, crying, bloody murder, crushed it and looked at the flight, and we were like, okay. But when they are melting down like this, sometimes you've just got to take a breath and be like, you know what? Other people can put their noise canceling headphones on if they need to. You can't always stop them from crying.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do the shush, shush, shush. You don't have to be walking around. Just let them be and relax. As stressful as it is, just know we're going to get there.
Yeah.
We're going to land.
Yeah.
And
one time I was on a plane with my my oldest, who at the time was a baby and was very colicky. And I was so stressed. I was doing everything. You know, I had prepared so much for the flight, and I was fully sweating by the time we landed, and she was screaming her head off. And this cute older woman behind me, like, reached over and patted me on the shoulder, and she said, "You're doing great." And I was like, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yes, I agree. I feel like I want to travel. I always want to show my kids other things and other places. And I think traveling with them when they're younger, even though it's such a pain, makes them better travelers. Like my 3-year-old who just turned 3, she's like great at traveling because we've been doing it forever since she was born.
You put in the time, you put in the work.
We live so far away that every day of travel is such a long day that she knows what she's getting in for. And so it just makes them better travelers too. And then you can feel like, oh, we could book this trip international maybe or something like that, because they're used to it and they know what to expect. And
I'm going to tell you the best part is that once you make it to 5 or 6 and over, it's easy. It's so fun. It's so easy. I now have a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 12-year-old. They are putting on those headphones. They're setting up their iPad by themselves. They know how to access the Southwest app. They're ordering drinks by themselves. They've packed their own backpacks with snacks and water bottles. Traveling gets so fun. So just hang in there because it's going to be worth it. It's going to be fun. Your kids are going to be amazing travelers. And, you know, someday you want them to be able to navigate an airport. One fun thing I do with my older now, my 12-year-old, is I kind of let her take the lead. I'll be like, where do we go? So she has to look at the board to find what gate we're at. She gets us to the gate because I want her in a few years to be able to navigate an airport by herself like a pro. So that gets fun too when they get older and it's easier and they can start becoming these like expert travelers.
That is fun. Something to look forward to.
Yes. So thanks for tuning in and listening as we sipped our champagne and we talked to you about traveling with babies. We're sipping our champagne because our kids aren't here right now. They're with the dads. And so on planes, we don't get to do this as much, but I hope you guys enjoyed the episode and stay tuned for another episode of Trip Tales next Monday. Thanks for being here, sis.
Thanks for having me.
That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales. Hey guys, I wanted to quickly share about a cool way you can support the show. Travel content creating and podcasting is so fun. But as you travel lovers know, traveling can get expensive. While I may receive trades from time to time, the flights, the behind the scenes hours filming, editing, recording, and sharing are often unseen and unpaid. There is this super cool website called buymeacoffee.com that was created specifically as a way to support creators like me. Buying Me a Coffee is a quick and simple way to show your support for the Trip Tales podcast. And Lord knows this busy mama 3 could use a coffee to keep me recording and sharing, and maybe help with the grocery bill as well. I'll also give a special shout out by name to anyone who buys me a coffee in the following week's episode. So if you love Trip Tales, I'll put the link in the show notes, or you can get there by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves. Thank you for considering supporting the show.